ladies and gentlemen, it is with the utmost remorse and respect that we mention Ethan Klein of the H3 podcast announced. Is this a clip from today?
I believe so.
In a clip that was posted today, he has no sponsors because he is an existential threat to gay people.
In his own words, I believe.
In his own words. I would like to play for you this clip from the H3 TV video. Here we go.
I'll just say this.
Let me fix the audio.
I'm very thankful to our members. It makes this show kind of bulletproof.
No.
Sorry, Gary Stans.
Here we go.
Today we have no sponsors because I am an existential threat to gay rights and all progress. So, of course, our wonderful fans have taken it upon themselves to write all of our sponsors and to have them can't not sponsor or not to support us. So we are, I'm very, I'll just say this. I'm very thankful to our members. It makes this show kind of bulletproof to stuff like this, even though it's painful and emotionally, it just doesn't. It's just painful that people would do that.
Okay, I want to say a few things. First, Ethan is correct about members, and that's why I wish we set up the website years ago, but you learn when you learn. And had I known what I know now, I would have been like, that should have been the first thing we did. Because once they started, the censorship was a big problem for a while. We had videos taken down. That's why we dedicated to this. I will say that, Ethan mentions in the clip, you expect more from the sponsors, and he's right. He's right about that too. You do. But I will also add, I genuinely do feel bad for Ethan. I think he doesn't understand what he's involved in. I think he doesn't know what the world's become. I think he's genuinely been lost this whole time. So let's go back in time to January when Ethan Klein deleted episodes he had with Jordan Peterson. He clearly did this because he was panicking about getting canceled. He doesn't want his business to fall apart, so he's just like, okay, fine, dude, I'll do whatever I have to. Ethan, you should have just stood by your principles, which is edgy comedy, free speech, and having conversations with people. We have never had one of our show sponsors cancel on us, pull out on us. In fact, the first sponsor that I had ever had on YouTube, Virtual Shield, sponsors us to this day. No issues, despite all the controversies, the lies, the smears, the manipulation. And I will stand by what we believe in and what we say, and I'm not going to play these stupid games. Ethan started playing the games, getting scared, panicking. He chose to get into business with these companies, and now he is sitting there saying, it sucks, I have no sponsor. Well, look, man, you got to stand up for yourself. You can't let these people push you around. You should not have taken down the Jordan Peterson episode because you look duplicitous, you look like you're lying, and you look desperate. And so I hope it works out. But hey, man, I can only say, if you want to get in bed with people who will push you off that metaphorical cliff at any moment, well, then I can only say, like, you should have prepared for this. You should have expected it. You knew it was going to happen. Imagine this. Imagine if Ethan Klein, instead of deleting the Jordan Peterson episode, came out and said, they're telling me if I don't delete this episode, they're going to pull my sponsors. Pull them. I will not take down the conversation I had with Dr. Peterson. Imagine how much he'd be supported.
Oh, you got 100,000 more followers that subscribe to his network.
All I can say is I hate to say I told you so, Ian. If you had just embodied the archetypal hero, oh my goodness, I've been sitting across from this fella for too long. Apologize for that error. I hate to say I told you so, Ethan.
Here's what he did. He said to the people who try to threaten you by having your sponsors taken that he will comply.
Yep.
He said, yes, if you are somebody who is sponsoring my work, I will dilute my message and walk back things I've said in the past once you've told me not to. You're inviting control at that point. And also, I want to point out that when you cultivate a fan base full of people who would cancel someone, guess what happens to you eventually? You get canceled. It's not that complicated.
I feel like this is a guy who got started doing edgy comedy on Reddit and YouTube,
yes,
and things like that. And then as times went on, he thought, I just better say what they're saying. The problem is, once again, this is not mainstream America. He is bending the knee to weirdos. Jordan Peterson is popular among regular people. The people who don't like him are the fringe weirdos. Regular people do like him. So when you say, I'm going to take it down because he's a bad guy, you got tricked. Ethan Klein got tricked. And now, what's he going to do? You know, I'm seeing everyone on the right mock him and they're laughing about it. Jordan Peterson told him that eventually he'd be held to a standard by the very mob he currently wishes to please. Then you will make a mistake and they will devour you with glee. Please take this warning seriously. I liked you. Ethan should not have sided with those seeking to destroy. He should have sided with those seeking to protect and to develop. Because if he came out and said, I liked talking to Dr. Peterson on more than one occasion. I may not agree with everything he has to say, but we have to defend our right to say these things. Then they'd be like, we're going to harass your sponsors. And he'd be like, okay. And then people on the right would be like, we got sponsors for you, buddy. Don't worry. We appreciate you standing by your principles and doing your thing. But too much, Ethan has been drifting into just saying whatever the left wants. And look at what happens. You know, he did that thing with Hassan. You want to live with people, like you want to work with people who will destroy you in 2 seconds. By all means, you go ahead and do it. But I don't know what I can do for you when your life is destroyed by these very people.
We can supply technology that you can use, Ethan, in the future for direct subscription content, so you can bypass like Patreon and crap like that. Take control of your network. We'll do it. We'll work together, man. I like you.
I real quick on the issue with our stream. Every message I'm getting in is people saying that the minute it stopped was right when Ian started talking about intel collection via social media.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I said even it was like the CIA, but there's no way
you
to
definitely
know.
said CIA.
Yeah, I said CIA,
and then
I said
like,
intelligence.
CIA, shut him down.
I said it immediately stops.
And someone, I think, may have pointed out foreign networks as well, because when I'm talking intelligence agencies, it doesn't have to be an American one.
Wait,
Okay,
you just said it again.
Okay, but, and he should.
Show's
but
gonna freeze.
to be fair, Ethan Klein, he gets canceled by the left and loses sponsors. We call out the CIA, and then our stream just freezes in midstream. So,
right.
you got to choose.
I'm
your
working
battles,
with the American government. We are the good guys. I'm even down with secret agencies, man. The world is harsh.
Look, what you need to do is obviously, because he's now a free agent, apparently, because Malcolm Nance is no longer working for MSNBC, you need to sign him up as a special foreign correspondent for Timcast, for Timcast IRL. Would you sign Malcolm Nance?
No.
But why?
Because
racism.
He's a bad person.
Did he actually go to war? Is that what happened?
He was an intelligence officer, but
No,
he's
he's not an intelligence officer.
He was never a naval intelligence officer.
He's never a naval intelligence officer.
Wikipedia says he was.
He was a Navy chief, which is not an officer, and he was a linguist. He was not.
Okay.
That is not the same thing.
Wikipedia was wrong.
Oh my gosh, no.
What?
He's got a picture of himself like he's in Ukraine with like tactical gear and
You
stuff.
saw the video, right?
Yeah, where he's like looking at his watch and he's like, the missiles, they're coming.
It's southwest. Stand by, and he's like when my dad.
Everyone else is just sitting there like, dude, what are you
Everyone's
doing?
like walking around the background. My dad, when we were little, he used to, when you hear the lightning and thunder, and you can, count how many seconds between the flash. It's like 1,000, 2 1,000, and then, but Nance is doing that for missiles. They're flying over. That's a cruise anti-ship missile. It's coming from a ship towards us now.
Bravo.
And everyone's like, okay, dude, like you're fine. Like it's, yeah, we know. Like we're aware.
I want to talk to you guys about Twisting Universe. You down to go?
Maybe in a little bit. We should.
Give me 5 minutes. Then I'm gonna delve into.
We should
it.
talk about
Ethan having him on the show.
Well, Ethan's welcome on the show, but I don't think he'd do it because they never want to. Actually, there's a lefty guy who's tweeting at. He's DMing me right now, like, why aren't I on the show? Here's the issue with the left, as we often bring this up. Prominent left personalities always have an excuse as to why they won't come and do a show. Yeah. It's always Ben Shapiro yelling, "Debate me," or at least the meme, right? But when it comes to the left, they're like, "I'm not going on your show," or they'll publicly be like, "I'll go on a show. I can do it."
Yeah, I saw your whole thing with Hassan the other day.
Yeah, because he said he would come on the show, but then he DM'd me and he was like, "Hey, bro, like COVID, I'm pretty scared of COVID, so I don't want to do it." And I said, "I get it, man."
That was the first time.
That was the first time,
right?
And then this time, he got mad because Hassan tweeted a joke. David Pakman said, "Do you know anybody who's pro-abortion?" Hassan then said, "Me, I'm trying to do this." David Pakman said, "That sounds weird." Someone said, "What's wrong with more abortions?" I screen grabbed that and posted it with no comment. I thought it was funny. I thought the whole interaction was funny. No comment. And Hassan responds with, "It's a joke, man. Do you need me to put /S?" And I'm like, I didn't say it wasn't a joke. I literally just reposted what you did. Like,
right.
So then he made a tweet about how, me and Dave Rubin or whatever. And then I was like, we claim to be progressives or true progressives, and or like we're people who are rallying people who claim to be true progressives. And I was like, I've never said I was a progressive. I am not a progressive. I am a centrist moderate. And he was like, you're literally doing what I'm making fun of you for. And I'm like, dude, I was like, that's not an argument. You're welcome to come on the show and have a conversation. And then all of a sudden, I'm not coming on your show. I won't do it. And then I was like, oh, here we go. So we got a guy who wants to come on the show.
And he was saying because you're another part of the country and the travel and cut into my Twitch streaming.
But he agreed to do it before, and COVID was the reason. And now it's, I'm too busy. And I'm like, dude, I can respect if you're busy. It's hard for me to travel to go to other people's shows. I still bought a trailer. We drove down to Nashville, and I went on I went on Candace's show on the Daily Wire. I went on their sports show, and I went on Backstage Live. I will make that happen. And so I was like, dude, I'll get the trailer. We'll bring it to LA. It'll be really difficult, but we'll figure that out. Spend a week in LA, maybe. I don't really want to.
How was the drive to Nashville, by the way?
Oh, it's fun. Go
was
to
that
the
good?
mountains.
It was
nine,
cool.
9
That looks like it'd be nice.
We listened to Hook by Blues Traveler a few times. That song is amazing.
And Judith by Perfect Circle. Good guitar, amazing guitar.
Love Perfect
And
Circle.
one of the best songs I've heard in a while by Nickelback. The Devil Went Down to Georgia. And I am being completely serious. I cannot believe that was actually Nickelback.
He actually put it on before the episode, and I'm saying this live.
It's good.
Nickelback's good.
It's a good Nickelback song.
No, I think
but it's not a Nickelback song. But
Right.
it's not a
Oh,
Nickelback
that's
song.
true.
But
So
here-
Nickelback
so-
does a
so
good version
here's
of another song.
Here's the other issue is we've got somebody on the left. They're like the people who want to come on the show that are on the left have like no followers. They're not particularly prominent individuals. I get messages from people who are like, I'd love to come on the show. And I'm like, dude, I'm not saying you shouldn't come on the show just because you have no followers, because that's not the prerequisite for being on the show, but it's the body of work. And typically there's a correlation between someone with, who's not particularly prominent and a limited body of work for which we can actually comment on. And then what happens is you bring on someone who is a limited body of work and a low following count. And when you end up destroying them in a debate, the left then says, the only thing you could do is bring on this guy who's not even that good because he couldn't get a real debate. And it's just like, I got no problem. We've got a few people come on. You've had people come on that only have a few thousand followers because followers is not the reason. We've had people come on with no social media and things like that. I'm just referring to body of work.
And you let Ian come on.
Yeah. Thanks,
Oh,
by
right,
the
of
way.
course. Actually,
Yes.
Ian's got a
Yeah,
bunch
there
of
you go.
followers.
Yeah.
And, the first time I was ever invited, I really had to have a long debate with myself about whether I wanted to platform Tim. I was like, am I promoting
right.
this?
I know, right?
this evil-
I got a feeling that a lot of people are
Degenerate work.
afraid that if they come talk to you, that you'll bring up like information and just destroy them with or not destroy, but
Facts.
Take them to town with information and facts, and then they'll feel like an idiot and look humiliated. When in fact they can just come hang out and just like learn.
But the
about
problem
stuff.
is, like, do you guys remember when Hunter Avalon was on the show?
yeah.
Yeah, he tried challenging me on the Ukraine story with Biden. And I was like, wow, you're really going to...
Was this when he was trying? So because he like got big as like a conservative, and then he tried to like veer really hard to the left.
And so this was after he was already now like a liberal.
Right.
But he was like, I mentioned the Joe Biden, SOB, guy got fired. He's like, that didn't happen. And I was like, yeah, it did. He's like, no, it didn't. And I'm like, here's the video. And then I'm like, bro, don't come here having done no research, but acting like these stories. I've dug in and done so much journalism on this stuff. The problem is with people like him, and is that he sees memes and thinks Tim Pool has no idea what he's talking about and just repeats right-wing talking points, when literally all day this morning I was digging into the Washington Post story, looking at public records and doing legit hours of like real research in journalism. I make phone calls. I do the work. It is rough. Mayo Gate, I love this story. I actually called the restaurant. I call for comment. We do this all the time. I reached out to Taylor Renz for comment. I reached out to the Washington Post for comment. Our newsroom did this stuff. We do the research. These people see these memes and these meme clips, and they're like, the right silly talking points. Dude shows up here and says, Joe Biden never said that. I was like, are you kidding, bro? Did you even Google it? Here's the video. And I played it, and he's like, oh, that really happened. And then I'm like, let's talk about Mykola Zlochevsky. Let's talk about the formation of Burisma. Let's talk about the former CIA guy who's working on there. Let's talk about Gazprom. Dude, you do not want to get involved with me. I was in Ukraine. I went there. I watched those protests happen. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert of all experts on this stuff. But man, for these people living on the internet, doing no research, then they finally come here, and it is like getting slammed by a tidal wave where it's like, oh, wow, boy, do they look bad. And the problem is, for many of these people, is they want to maintain this facade of, I'm on the left. Well, what happens when they come and sit down with Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon goes, tax the rich? And they go, I agree, Steve Bannon.
Yeah,
everyone on the left is like, they're agreeing with Steve Bannon. There you go. That's one of the big problems. I know the left does not like. You know who I think is good? Destiny. Was it Stephen Bonnell III? Because that guy has no problem telling it exactly how he thinks.
He and I got into it once, though.
And that's fine.
But it was because he accused me of lying about being in the military and lying about being in the IC, and I did not take that well.
When he came on the show, he has no problem.
And it didn't go well for him.
He knows the stories. He knows what he thinks about them. We just disagree. And I'm like, I can respect that. But there are many people where they think they're going to come on this show and they're going to be like, you think this about race. And I'm like, no, I agree with you on systemic racism. And they're like, you do? And I'm like, yeah, do you watch this show? And they're like, no, but I saw memes once. So this is one of the reasons I think they really do not want to come on the show. Hassan will come on the show. You know what the last thing I said about Hassan before that tweet thread was? That he was right. There was a story that came out. I can't remember exactly what it was months ago. And I was like, he was Julian Assange, I think. I defended him because people were ragging on him about Julian Assange. And I was like, Hassan did not was making a joke about Assange. He did not literally say this. And I'm like, it's silly. We don't need to go after him, blah, 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 just because. And then the dude gets mad at me because he doesn't actually watch the show. If Hassan came on this show, he'd be like, what about this? And I'd be like, I agree. And Ian would be like, I agree. And Seamus would be like, yeah, actually, I agree with the details of that. I may disagree on policy. And then what's he going to say? What's he going to argue about? All of a sudden, the narrative is going to be Hassan goes on Timcast and agrees with everything they're saying. He must be far right.
Yeah, just talk about your past, man. Let's learn about where got you to video streaming and into it. You used to work for the Young Turks. Like, what's your relationship with Cenk when you guys were young? You know, that kind of stuff. Let's just show humans that we can interoperate and still have differing views.
I tweeted at him. He was like, why can't I go on Zoom? And I was like, we don't do Zoom. Internet makes us hate each other. It's better to sit down, shake hands, and talk about it. And that's why we do it the way we do. Andy hit me up, and he's like, can I do your show remote? And I said, sorry, dude, can't do it. Then he came here. Lauren Southern, can I come on your show remote? I said, no, we don't do remote. Sorry,
you said you can't even do it in person, Lauren. Like, we don't want to see you around here.
Yeah, and well, even for Andy and Lauren Southern.
Oh, yeah. Like, what about Snowden?
I don't want to do it. I really do not want to do it. I remember watching Joe Rogan's episodes where he did Zoom, and I was like, not fun.
Yeah, his Snowden episode has 30 million views just because it's Snowden.
I don't do this for 30 million views.
Yeah.
Like, I want to sit down with people and talk. And even when we had,
so would you go to Russia to interview Snowden?
The problem
assuming travel was fine and all.
Oh, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
The real issue is that I can't run a business while flying to Russia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're trying to get to that point.
Believe me, I know exactly what you mean.
Why are you scared of debating Snowden?
So you won't debate Snowden then? Yeah. You're terrified?
I would love to debate Snowden and say that you published documents without going through them and redacting critical information, and that was a serious intelligence risk. I don't view Edward Snowden as a whistleblower. I view him as a leaker because he did not actually review the documents that he was giving away. And he's admitted to that. I can respect that he admitted to it. I think the distinction is important. He did expose a bunch of really important things. That's fantastic. But I think terminology is important in understanding what someone did. Someone who sees malfeasance and says, hey, you guys got to know about this, whistleblower. Someone who says, I see bad stuff, I'm going to take all of it and just give it to journalists. I'm like, leaker, different thing. You know, he did blow the whistle technically.
What about Manning then?
Manning was a whistleblower, collateral murder.
That was incredible, by the way.
But didn't Manning still grab a bunch of documents?
There were a bunch of documents, yes.
It depends. I don't know exactly. I'd have to research the Manning stuff. The issue with Snowden was that Snowden has admitted to being like, I didn't read this. And it's like, okay, well, then you're just leaking stuff that you don't actually know what you're putting out there. And I think it might have been John Oliver who was like, in the documents you released, there was unredacted critical information that put people at risk. And he was like, I didn't check. He was like, it was published by the journalists. They failed to redact. And he was like, I didn't know. And he's like, shouldn't you have to, like, isn't that your responsibility? And Snow was like, yeah, that is, I guess. So I can respect that. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.